Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Coding. In this video, I'm gonna share with you a node setup I made using SphereChalk add-on in Blender. And guess what it is? It is basically I started with a sphere 3D, and then I'm using this simple expression algorithm, and it's turned it into some kind of a spiral looking geometry. So this might seem familiar. In the past, I might actually have tried to do this. Um, so this was actually based on a setup by Johnny Farmfield. He's using Houdini, and he's using Houdini Vex language. And Houdini, of course, is a node-based 3D program. It's really powerful, and Houdini has this something called Vex, which is like kind of like expressions that Houdini use, where you can kind of source the data of a geometry and then kind of make modifications using simply by two lines. But I turn it into nodes, turn it back into nodes, and because this is kind of interesting, I found. And so let's see what it is. Basically, the expressions gonna take a bunch of data. In this case, the point position, and then there is this index point number, and there is a frame, which is the time frame, and then there's a position, and it's gonna multiply it by 0.5. If so, this is an if expression. So if this condition is true, just multiply the point position using 0.25. In this case, I can make it exactly the same, but this is actually like a kind of like explorations. If we want to turn any kind of Vex code back into nodes and then kind of study, we tend to usually read the code from the last part of the code, so it's like backward. So in this case, multiply by 0.25. So what I did here, I actually quickly made some kind of switch. This is an if condition, and there's a switch condition. If it is true, then multiply by 0.25. If it's false, then multiply by 1. So this is actually what's going on. So I have this vector multiplier based on the original points position of the sphere or the vertices. Okay, so yeah, it seems complicated. Not really, but it's kind of interesting, because if you look at this and then with this setup and then started to make changes, you started to see some kind of pattern. Let's actually reduce the number of points to 48. So it's now a lot simpler, and you can kind of see this pattern is almost like a stripes, right? And then this condition based on that expression, right, it's either gonna get this value or this value to multiply the points position. So what's the actual math here from Johnny is like there is this thing. Okay, they get the length of the point position or the vector position. So that's one thing. Compare it with this guy right here. There's some kind of value that multiplying the sign of the point number divided by 5 plus time frames divided by 5. So then it seems like pretty simple. I have this the sine functions with all this similar thing happening. In SphereChalk, we don't have the point number, but we can easily make that using get the list total of the points and then use range integer with the count and just divided that by 5. I don't know why he picked 5, but this number seems to have effects on the sphere. And look at that, you can get like kind of like a flower looking. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know why is this possible. Maybe it's like a spiral. If we turn this into like a texture, like if we are doing the same expression for cycles, nodes, texture, procedural texture, we're probably gonna get a spiral. We can certainly do that as well. I might actually try that. It's because it's kind of interesting once you know, okay, this expression can create this spiral pattern, then we can use it for anything basically. And you can continue, you know, start to change the value and see how the thing's gonna change. Maybe you're gonna get like a interesting surprise, you know, never know. So yeah, this is so because we have frame here, there's a one value of parameter that's using a frame. That means we have some kind of animations. So this is always kind of nice to have. And yeah, the rest is pretty much nothing much. You really just bake it out. And if you want to continue, you know, like try, okay, what else can we make from this? Can we use cylinder, for example? Maybe we can try that. Cylinder, okay, cylinder, and then plug in the vertices and the polygon, and then I don't know, maybe we need to center the cylinder. Maybe we don't need to, but cylinder seems like we also get something that looks like a spiral, and we can turn it into a cone, and that's also quite interesting, right? Suddenly like a something that looks like a phyllotaxis, you know, like a sunflower kind of thing. So it's basically like a, maybe it's a spiral function, but I don't know exactly. Sometimes you don't need to understand the math when doing procedural thing, as long you know that this generate that kind of spiral pattern, and then you remember this, you keep it, and then you use it in the future. So there you go. That's a quick look at this setup. Thanks for sharing this. This is Johnny Farmfield Twitter. You can follow him. He made a lot of interesting things using Houdini, but I'm using Blender 3D and with a Sphere add-on and animation nodes. Basically, through times, I think the node system can kind of reach a level where, as a 3D artist, you can use Blender and all these nodes framework kind of to make something that's like Houdini. Houdini, of course, has a lot of powerful simulations and algorithm, but at the very basics, you know, the nodes framework itself is very, very similar. Pretty sure Sphere or animation nodes can do anything that Houdini can do eventually, but yeah, we'll see. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.